it and make me look beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, well, my name is Tonya, like I said. I'm with Splash of Color, and when I'm here today, I want to thank you, Chrissy, for letting me come out and show you guys some techniques, and hopefully I'll inspire you and educate in some areas that you didn't know about our products with the silks and the twinks and a little bit of the Viva line. So what I did basically here was I just did the twinks on it. You can mist your backgrounds with water first, then use your twinks if you want a light consistency background. And then what I'm going to do is the silks and the twinks resist each other. But for demo purposes, I'm going to use a little bit of Inka Gold because the silks need to cure a little bit before you work them right on top of the silk or on top of the twinks. So what I'm going to do is just take out a little bit of the Inka Gold, and when you open these,
I can't see you. Feel free to stand behind her as well.
let's see, so we'll do one plane, and you can either go ahead and just paintbrush this on, which is fine, and this is just a stencil. Or you can go ahead and you can do, I'll just finish this one off with a paintbrush. And I'm just holding my stencil. You can use stencil adhesive. The thing about stenciling is always you want to hold your piece down and go in one direction. That's really the secret about stencils. If you go in one direction, it's okay if it lifts, as long as you place it right back. So here we're going to show some stenciling on this piece. And then I'll take another one. And now on this one, move that aside. I think half the time I'm mostly cleaning. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to add a little bit of your silks. Silks goes really well. And you don't need less is best. So I didn't need that much to put in. And now you'll see that this mixes. So you can do your own custom colors, which is nice in your piece. And the thing about the Inka Gold is that it dries quickly.
Does adding the silks increase the dry time for the Inka Gold?
I would have to say probably not, to my experience. I've found that it probably takes it a little bit longer to dry because it's a glaze that's in there. So it's a glaze technique that is mixing with the beeswax. And I don't think this is the way that these two mix together. They also act as a resist, which is very different because you can also mix them together, as you can see here. I want to make this a little bit darker in here.
Do you recommend using a palette knife over a brush? Is that better?
I do when I mix, when I do my stencil here, because I like texture. I like to see it pop up more. And I'm going to put in a couple of dark strands. And now what we're going to do with this is we will let this dry. And then we'll go back over that with twinkling H2Os because the silks will act as a resist. And this is where I was like, just dump in a bucket. That's what I do with my stencils. We just dump them in a bucket until afterwards. So clear my station again. So this is the technique with the Inka Gold, that you can mix any of your silks with this technique. You can also mix the pigments if you'd like. It's just, you just would have to sprinkle it. I like the silks, give it a more shiny, more clear. You see the glaze in there. When you get these, what we do advise you to take out the plastic, the white little cap, pop it out with your palette knife. And when you close this, if you can, keep your metal thing on it. These ones I have it. Keep your metal thing, and I stick a baby wipe in there. so they don't dry out. I just open mine up like this. Cheryl Mazzetti just told me that, and that's a very great technique because I've had a couple of these dry out, but then when I put a baby wipe back in them and they come back.
Would a moist paper towel do it?
You know, I haven't tried that. I just go by what they've been doing because they've been educating and teaching, so I just buy a thing of baby wipes, and I'll do that.
I still have a lot left over. Just rinse it to re-wet it. Is that doing anything bad to them?
No, it makes it, I believe it makes it go out because it's a beeswax. You can mix it, the water on your mat, and it'll make it go out a little bit farther, but I don't know if that will change the chemicals if you're actually directly misting into it.
A little bit.
Yeah, as long as you haven't seen anything, as long as you don't, but if you recap it, you know, you just don't want it to, to get too much moisture in there.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, now we're going to move to some gels. So gel medium. Gel medium is basically, what I brought here, and if you have, like, if you didn't bring any, it's 30% off right now. But, yes, you will. So basically, gel mediums, this is a high gloss gel medium. It's a heavy gel, and it's gloss. If you use a matte, it tends to take out the shimmer and shine of our paint. It reduces that mica in it. Gloss, the high gloss does not. If you want that gloss to be able to pop, I would recommend getting the gloss. If you want it to be less faded or less mica and less shine, get like a matte, and it'll take that out. Now what I'm going to do here is we're going to mix. We can mix a little bit more of the pigments. We'll try, or not pigments. We're going to mix. You can do either or, but the silks work really well with the glazes. That's what we did up here with some of these leaves. And what I did again was I did the twinks on the background, and then I'm going to glaze over it. And it's going to resist each other, which means that they're not going to blend the two colors together. So it doesn't reactivate the paint, which is that is such a cool thing. That it's like a family. They work together, a sister and a brother. They forever will be in a family together. Let's see. And we're slowly getting it down. Patience. So we'll just pop some of this down. And I keep my caps to the little plastic piece on top. It seems to make the paint last really a long time. I keep it in there. It keeps it nice and moist, and I've never had any problems with it. So we're going to take the wing stencil. And let's see, we'll do. I'll give him a little face. I like him here. And this I use a palette knife. I don't use a squeegee on it. I don't know, I just feel like I have more control. And what's the important thing, again, about always on a stencil is always
Same direction.
Same direction. You start going in different directions, and that's when you're going to really find if your stencil's going to move on you. But a lot of times, I mean, I make mistakes in art, and there's this card here. There was no hope for it last night. He wasn't. And then this morning I was like, let's just do a gel medium over it. And now it's one of my favorites. So there's no, you guys know just by playing, you know, some of your mistakes are your best pieces. But now, that is just so pretty. I had some blue on my stencil a little bit. And now this again is with the high gloss. Now, the other thing is that it's like pigments. Let me put this bucket in there. It's like pigments when it comes to your artwork, pigments and gloss and gels working together. What you see and what you get at the end is always different. To look at this pigment right here, anybody guess a color? You can,
Orange?
it is poppy red. It is fire engine red. When I actually mix it with, and that's, it is, you don't need a lot at all to mix any of your stuff with the pigments. That is a poppy red.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very deceiving. And it's the same way when it comes to working on some of your glazes. Like when it dries, this had a very white background. And then when it dried, they dry so different. You're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So sometimes you have to, you know, the more you play, the more you'll learn. You'll get the feel of it. And now if I want to make this like a more fire engine red, I can just tap a little bit more.
And these are called?
This is called, these are pigments. These are primary element pigments, artist pigments. It's basically crushed raw pigment, and you blend it into any of your binders. So you can blend it into your gels. You can blend it into your modeling cream. Same with the silks. We have 2 lines that you can blend so many things with. You can also mix the silks and the pigments with our magic pen, which the magic transparent pen, and it will give you a water dew effect, like a water droplet. It'll make it a very nice clear, and you can also customize and make it darker, because in any case you just add more pigments. But if you just worked with this on over a silk, you can do a water dew effect, which is really cool. So
if I were to look for the pigments, what does the container look like? Just those little...
The pigments just look like this.
Okay.
Don't work in a windy area because they are powdered. So if you open with a fan, and when I did my picture of my ocean blue, my cat decided to walk into my palette, and I had little blue. It is a permanent pigment. Little blue cat paw prints all over my sunroom. I was like, "What are you doing there, Oscar?" So let's see if I can get out a different stencil here. That one's right out in here. We'll do a red tone. That's all right. We'll catch him later on. Let's see. I'm going to grab some of this. And you can also mix more than one color. You can go with, we'll do a little bit of the gold with it. And see, sometimes that's all you need. And they all are screw tops. So you just have to be careful of where you plan it. I'm going to get a little bit more of that. Whereas the silks are already active, ready to go. So you can definitely tell the difference between working with the two. But on the pigments, very little. You don't need a lot. It goes a long way. And then I just like to scrape it up, and I like the effect of what you see on the paper. I'm going to get some more clear. And I find that working with, can you open this and just tap a little bit more? Working with the golds and the yellow, I always have to use more of the gold and yellow because I have such a fresh problem.
This
Yeah,
this one's not working.
that's fine. Yeah,
I did.
I like that.
That's fine.
And then you'll know, same with working with any glazes, that you'll automatically start to feel when it starts to get tacky that your time is running up a little bit to play. Like on this one, I can feel a little bit of tacky. There. I tell you, the pigments, they're so strong as far as those reds. So look at that. Isn't that pretty? Sometimes I like to just play and see what lands on the paper itself. That's why I'm like, you know, I just put a little bit on my palette and let it play. Clean up my area here a little again.
I want pigment. I want some pigments.
I love these mats. Right up here. Get any on the table. Okay. Now what I'm going to show you, and you do know that, I mean, the silks and that you can easily paint right onto any of the paper pieces. The thing about the silks is that they are it's the acrylic glaze. There's not another paint line that I know on the market that has an acrylic glaze. And that glaze allows you to overlap them. It's transparent. And you can use them and the pigments, like I said, on leather. You can use them on air. You can pass these around. This is air dry clay that I just did a mold and popped out the little giraffes and lions. It also works good on leather, which I think is over here. This is just Stays On ink stamped with the silks, or stamped with Stays On ink, and then I went back and I colored it. And you can open it up. I think there's another one on there too. And this is this was done by an artist, Peggy. She just did free-handed. I thought that was cool. And now with the air dry, you can also do light air dry. You can or light on air dry clay. You can just, this is just with watered down of the silks. Someone was asking about if you can water down the silks. That's just watered down. So if you just want a really soft, very light background. Now let me see. Let's go into another technique. Is with the silks, which I was saying. Where's my paper? Here's my newspaper. Now, most paints you won't be able to do this with, but with our silks, you can do this. You get in a nice amount. Most paints with an acrylic, you can't go over this and still see the paper. It just does not happen. And that's what I'm trying to say, that there is a glaze and it's a transparency paint. As long as you work your way from darker to lighter, it's all good. I'm gonna make this red a little bit more.
Darker to lighter or lighter to darker?
Lighter to darker, thank you. I'm working and not really paying attention there, sorry. But most paints you can't see that. And when it comes to like doing collages and things like that, or if you let this dry, you can go over and do like a blue, and you're going to see that blue and the yellow make a green. It's really, the silks are there's so many new things out there that you can learn about them. When the paint is active behind a lot of your backgrounds, it's going to pull that color up. And that is like we'll do the modeling cream. We'll show that a little bit. On this one here even, what I did was we'll show you a silk screening. And then from the silk screening, which is a new technique out from a new stencil from Martha Stewart, and I'll show you how to do these too. Okay, so this is just showing you that you can go on different kinds of newspaper. Let me wash my brush off. Get my silk screen. This is what they look like. They just came out. Our Hobby Lobby just picked them up. You can pass that around, but that's what they look like. And and what it is, it's a silk screen. So you see there's a screen on it. Most acrylic paints won't be able to go through a silk screen.
Do you squeegee that on like you do a normal silk screening?
I squeegee the silks through it, which is really cool. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the silks.
Yeah, extremely detailed.
It is, and they're so pretty.
I have the peacock feather, and I looked at it and said, oh, that's not what I thought I needed.
Peacock is really a pretty one, too. I saw that one. I was like, oh, some lady did a nice addition on Pinterest with that. And like I said, I just keep...
I got the primary elements in the dragonfly, and I
Mm-hmm.
bought a bottle of clear glaze, so I could make my own with the ones that I wanted. You guys just had the original set.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that dragonfly is awesome.
Yes. And the high gloss is what you're going to want if you want to keep the, if you want to keep that high glitzy
No,
of the
I put it in
shimmer.
glaze. I bought clear glaze.
Clear, but it didn't knock down the shimmer. It didn't knock it down. It kept it there.
It was silk
Right.
glaze.
Yep.
And then I just put the element in the glaze, and
Yeah,
had that
it keeps
super
it
high
right
shimmer.
with it. Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous.
It's amazing. We're still learning on different techniques of what the silks can do.
Wow.
Oh, we're gonna just go ahead and color that card there. And we'll take that back on that card. But that just is so pretty. And you can mix your colors. And you just rinse it with water when you're done. And we're going to do another one. You can just rinse it with water when you're done. And I just put it on like a glass because the stickiness will come back on it. But like I said, this is something special with our paints because most acrylic paints are too thick and they won't be able to go through there. Let me get more of a mixture. This one's going to be mostly all green.
So that is just your straight silks. You didn't add any
I
of
didn't
your...
add anything. Nope. Now, if I let this dry and cure, and if I go back with it in some twinks after it dries, then I can, it won't reactivate it because silks, like the silks and the twinks, will not reactivate each other.
I wanted a background if we go back.
Yep. And then, like I said, you just put it through here. If I was home, I'd actually take it to my sink and really, rinse it out. But they clean up really nicely. I mean, and I just reuse it. I'm hoping the stencil will wear me out before I want to use the stencil again. That's my goal. And now let's move on and clear my station again.
Do we need more paper towels?
No, I got my whole roll over
okay.
here. And now we'll do a little bit of modeling cream. Okay. Let's see. With the Pharaoh. Now, I've done the Pharaoh here. This is a book that I did on a retreat kind of to learn more about glazes because I'm always interested in it. And to see how the reaction is on plastic. This was a retreat with Mara and Artsy Girls. And now this is molding. This is a modeling cream. We stenciled the modeling cream through it. But on the background was silk. So we did silks on the background. And what it did, as long as it was wet, because it's a plastic, so the silks allow it to not dry right away. Like on paper, silks dry pretty quick. But on a plastic, it doesn't. So when you put that molding, the modeling cream on it, it's going to pull some of those colors up. And this is where I was first learning about it. And this was the same kind of technique. Now this one had a crackle in it. This was crackling modeling cream. So there's so many different techniques out there.
Now, if you wanted to, on this crackle, could you come back with a very light, a very transparent, darker glaze to kind of make that crackle pop up?
Yep,
And
you
it
could
would
easily.
still-
You could go right on over that. And I have no problems going into my artwork whatsoever. So it's all about playing. Yeah, you could go right back into it as long as you don't water your brush too much. I'm going to take a little bit of green. And I'll probably need I always have a little art rag with me. And I didn't bring one. Let's see.
We've got one right behind you.
Oh, good.
You can also water it down.
Yep, you
Just
can.
make it like a real light wash that just keeps in the
That's
cracks
what I
and
was
light
asking,
out.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome.
Thank you.
And like in a brown color would look like it was cracked and aged and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was asking. Okay.
Well, let's just work with that. Let's see. We got a nutmeg in the. Let's see if I got a nutmeg.
It's right here's one.
Oh, well, you know what? I know I have one too.
It's a honey.
I don't want to open up your own stash. Let's see if we got a brown in here. You know what? We'll put Jim on that mission. Can you find a nutmeg in there and some brown? And we'll get back to that and we'll fix that. So we'll test that out. What I want to keep showing is that, like, this was the silks, and then we did, of course, the actual modeling cream again, but it was just the white. And since the silks were dried, it did not bring it up. So you can get both contrasts. This was more of an acrylic, just a regular paint that we have out on the market, not with our line, and at the glaze to show that this doesn't really necessarily, it won't pull up that.
Now, yesterday we did a mini album
Mm-hmm.
where we used the silks, and then when the silks were dry, put the
Inka Gold.
No.
modeling paste.
Glaze, no, it
That was
wasn't.
nice.
When we did
Well,
the
some
bricks.
used embossing paste, some used modeling paste. Either way, it pulled the color up even though it was dry.
On the, but you were pulling it up just on, was it the modeling cream?
No, it was modeling paste.
No, it was modeling, okay,
Some of them used Martha Stewart's
Mhm.
embossing.
right. So,
Excuse me, but you didn't mention that we did it with gesso. We
we
mixed
did
gesso with silks. So that's really
okay.
important.
But it was still dry.
Right.
Why did it pull up?
Because you wet it when you put a wet gesso on it, maybe?
Yeah, it reactivated it because it
Gesso
didn't.
was on there. Gesso, silks, dry.
But she said don't let the gesso dry out.
Right.
While the gesso was still,
We mixed it.
yeah.
You guys are totally missing it.
Right.
Everything was dry.
And it just
And
reactivated.
Yes.
There is something that reactivated in there.
Okay.
I can tell you as far as the Inka and the beeswax, that seals it. That kind of like will put a seal with the.
Is there beeswax in that?
In the Inka Gold are the beeswax. There's not in the modeling cream.
How come the cream doesn't pull the color up then when it's dry? But regular embossing paste does.
It's a chemical thing.
Okay.
Every paint line, I try to get as much information as I know out there, but that everybody's finding new little things. Like I said with the silks, there's a lady that she goes and buys a bottle from Walgreens, and I haven't documented it, so I can't say it, but she says this works. It's for dry mouths, and the pump that's in there that comes with it, she empties it. Well, somebody in her family uses it, but she put her silks in it, and she can mist them. All these things, you always learn new things from each other, and I haven't tried it, but that's one thing I do want to try.
That bottle's like $15 too. So.
It is. It's an expense. There was somebody in our family that used it, and it is pricey.
Like that biotin.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Spray for dry mouth.
And could you find me the stencil while we're talking?
What's special
Really?
about
This one right here. I think it's in here somewhere. In the background. So let's go back and we're going to try to do this more of an antique-y.
Yeah.
And what is your name? What is it?
Agnes.
Agnes? She would like to see it more antique. So we're going to make her happy, hopefully. I see my chopsticks. This is an old stick.
I think it was a gesso that.
Yeah, with gesso, none of these did I gesso, any of them. The starting ones on these, I did not gesso any of the boards. I just started with what I had.
But it should be affected if the gesso was dry. Correct?
Unless it reactivates.
Right, some sort of reaction because something different medium.
So you made it a wash.
I made it a wash, and I'm just giving it a little bit of rub here. So I made it a good wash now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's coming out nice.
And then we'll just go in. Whoever gave me the swag, thank you. there is no right, you know, as long as you're having fun with your piece. Now, I probably want to go back in there and make that a little bit darker because it seemed to really bring out that green. Yes, it is. Thank you. So you can go, you know, this had almost it made it more highlighted. They brought the green out, but you can go back and you can get an antique look. Is this what you're liking more? Yeah, I like that.
Now take your cloth and take the, and just kind of dab it off, not really.
Donna's playing vicariously.
She is. Well, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to inspire you, and it's supposed to be like, I really like that technique. I can see that on my project. You know, the sky's the limit. Now, this is with more of the misters, you know, you just go ahead and you spritz, and some of it, like I did with the paintbrush, where you go ahead and you can click and get some of the stuff. It's all done with the stencil, or with the silk, so it gives you some ideas. So now moving on to the Pharaoh.
Now I did read on the silks forums that they have to be, if they don't dry completely, that they will muddy.
Yes.
They looking for a blend.
And muddy, you need to let them cure if you're going to go a layer on top of a layer.
And curing time is?
I'd say 24
hours, minutes.
Unless you heat set it, and then well, where'd my newspaper piece go?
Over here.
Right here.
Let's go, Ted. Give it a whirl. Because I'd say this is dry. Normally acrylic, the glazes dry really quite quickly. So I'm going to take a bigger brush this time, and we're going to go over it with blue moonbeams. The big moon's coming today. Today's supposed to be the yes. See, this is the new formula. If you see me, those are old. These are new. There's no mixing. They're easy. You just open them up and get your brush wet, and you go to town. Easy cleanup. That's what I really like.
There's no mixing?
Not in the new ones.
Not with the new ones. Nope. So we'll do a little bit thicker. See, now this is not muddying. There's no mud. You see the two layers.
So it's just got
and that tells you that was pretty dry because we did this.
Right.
So the glazes dry quite quickly. As far as the cure time, I've never really timed it. Depends on your surface is what I really think it would be.
I think it depends on your climate, too. It's going to be in a humid climate.
We are in humid here.
She said she had hers 2 days, and it's still, still muddy.
So here's this one. And that's the other thing is most, they would have destroyed the newspaper by now. Our paint is not destroying it, which is really another high bonus that I always take for granted. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't seep into it.
It doesn't. It's really, I love all of our product lines. They work so well together.
Maybe that's what I'm saying, owing her. Seems to be the best.
So what I'm going to do now is we're going to work back into Pharaoh. Now Pharaoh was the same kind of technique. What's the time check? Okay. On the Pharaoh, they come in different colors. This one I actually used like a purple. This is how it came. It's a sandy, gritty kind of tech, and that touch to it. So there you go. You want me to hold it for you so you can see it before what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint over it with the silks because again, if you're like, I like that, but I just want to add something more to it. And we're going to work upside down here if I can. Stencil's upside down. All right, I can't work upside down. I'm so much better up front. Let's see. I wanted like a
pink grapefruit.
Yeah. Do you got a pink grapefruit over there, Jimbo?
This is beautiful. Mm-hmm.
A watermelon, that's good.
Didn't we just have the pink grapefruit in the kit not too long ago? Yeah, we did.
You know, okay, off camera I can say we have even on our eyeshadows. We did. We did.
Would you do it all time?
We used, we did. We wore it at the demo, and or at our booth because it just had so much twink, and it was just so much fun. So, yeah.
Well, that's good.
This is my nail polish.
I'll bet you I would be interested to buy a clear nail polish, mix it. The worst it's going to do, I would still base coat your nail first. Also, I'm a nail tech. I forgot to tell you that. I would base coat your nail first so it would adhere first, and so that if it wouldn't let it seep into your finger. That's what base coating would do. And then mix that with your regular clear and paint it on and see if that works. It just might. All right.
Yeah, Stencil.
Yeah, because it's not FDA approved. So.
And she didn't say it.
That's right. I'm an experimenter. That's what I am. I know enough to get me in trouble. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to dip into this silk here. And a little bit more pinkier than that. With this guy. We're just going to mix it like that pink. I wanted bubblegum pink, like a nice bubblegum.
We have the pink grapefruit over here.
Well, we'll see. We'll give this a whirl. I don't want to open up your stuff. So what we're just going to do, I'm going to mix a little bit of ice with this.
Ice?
Yes. This is my old
And Christmas kit.
Ice is awesome. You can play with ice. Ice is just like, you mix it with anything. That's one of my favorites. You can never go wrong with that. Probably just yeah. I also like if there's a black ice. I don't know if that's a cool. You can pass that one around. That's a fun color.
Oh, is it like a blue?
It's a black ice. There we go. Get that a little bit more. Well, we're going to go back over this a little bit. I'm going to see what this does. We'll do a little bit with the glaze, just for fun. Why not? This is how everything plays in my house. We're just like, oh, it's right there. Let's just give it a whirl. And I'm only doing the edges on this a little bit. And then I'm going to go back into this with the Inka. I'm going to try doing a little bit of the Inka on it. I want to keep the main ferrule a little bit. I just want to glaze over it. Lighten this up. I'm going to lose my husband. Alright, so now we're going to go back and let's see. Do you mind being my helper here? Can you open that for me? Okay. Now this, I'm just going to dip in my finger. If I'm not wearing it, I'm totally not doing my art. So it's the way I figure some of this. And we're just going to blend it. I don't want to contaminate my whole jar, so. I don't know if this technique's been done yet. I have no idea. I just have fun with it. Now I started with the ferrule. And then if I want, let's see, my pinky's still good. I just want to highlight some of these little spots.
But this time your silks that you put on earlier were dry. They're very fairly.
Some in the corner are still wet.
But it's just blending.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm just using my finger, and because I don't like the grittier look. I like it more smooth. And it is, you're the artist. You decide what you like, but I like that. It's just fun, and I can go through it. Now, remember, once that dries, you can go ahead and do the background. You can go over it again. There's no wrong to it.
Now, how would you do the background? Just go in around it with a brush? Or?
You know what? I would probably try the twinks on it once the silk's dry, because they will resist each other. This is where I'm saying if you can really catch which products resist each other. So if you use your glaze with your silks, You can do your backgrounds beforehand with your twinks or afterwards. It's all up to you. And then that's pretty much concludes. If there's something in particular, like we can go back into this one with the twinks, but I think that's pretty much.
Do something with the twinks because I had a bunch at home that Ray made me buy.
Yeah, all my twinks, all my backgrounds that I did with the silks are twinks.
Okay.
Basically, a really simple background. If you want it a heavier, bolder, like a lot more color, use more paint. If you want it, do you like light pastels? What kind of colors are you taking to? Are you taking the pastels or both? Okay. Well, if you want a light pastel, you mist your piece first. Okay. And then you go ahead and you take your paintbrush. I'm just going to take this guy because he's cleaner. And we'll do what's your favorite color? Pink?
Yep.
No.
They say you wear your favorite colors, so you just look at them.
Well, okay.
And if you wear everything, you probably like everything. There's no rhyme. So on this one, you can get a nice, subtle background, or you can go back into it. Let's do a little bit of purple. And then all you have to do is heat set it, and you're voila. You've got a nice, easy water background. If this is one way, if you want more water effects, just let it sit for a bit. And on plastic, this works really well. And canvas too. Canvas will really pop out some colors. It gives it more of a water dew background. Let me show you another technique as long as I have it here. Cheryl gave me this one. Let me have a white piece of paper. I'll use this one. And what we do is we'll take we'll stick with my purple background. What we're going to do is just do a nice little wash. Like I said, you just pick whatever you like to do. There's so many different techniques on backgrounds, and there we go. And then I'm going to blot it. And then once this is done, let's say we take this stencil. Now I want a big full one. Well, if this one was bigger, what you're going to do is you're going to just mist your stencil, no paint. Get it really nice and juicy wet with high quality house water that we have. And then you're going to plop it on there. Now the longer you let this sit, what's it going to do? I'm going to dry it with a paper towel kind of to give you a faster reaction. If you let that sit for a while on its own, it's going to be darker. And what's it going to do? It's going to separate and put this image lightly in the background.
Oh, nice. Like a watercolor or a watermark.
Mm-hmm. But this is all one level. Whereas if you did it with the pen over the stencil, it would bring it up a level as a watermark. And that would be the magic transparent. You can make it any color that you like. Yes. On the Paris, that was done with the black pen that you guys are using over a stencil. I just squeegeed it on, put it over it, and squeegee it. And that's what this mark is here. That's kind of like the watermark that you're going to see here. Now, the longer it will dry, the better. But you can see how it separates that. And if you're just looking for a really soft tone on any of your backgrounds, that's a really cool technique.
What else can you use those on?
You can use it on any kind of surface. Is that what you're saying?
No, yeah.
As long as anything that will take a stencil.
Flowers and like changing some of your embellishments for color.
I'm just kind of stuck on what to use the twinks for. Necessarily, how versatile are they?
Yeah.
The twinks are great when it comes with ribbon. You can do them on your ribbons, pieces like that. You can do it on mostly all of your paper products, I would say. You can do it on some of, like on the ribbons and things like that, but I would definitely use them with a little seal if you start going outside of that. If you do it on like a wood, I would say seal it, because then you have to start sealing it, because it's only a watercolor. So anything on paper that you can think of, whether you can stamp it, you guys all know about the stamp one, right? Where you stamp it, this will go like 44 times. Oh my gosh. Okay, you know about it. Yeah, it's that's the basics that brought me in. You can either you can just color it like a coloring book. You go ahead and you stamp it, and then you go ahead and color it. Or you can actually paint it directly on, bear with me because I know you've seen this then.
It never ceases to amaze.
It is, I mean, and that's the thing. If you can think it, you can do it with our product. So, this is the one that mine. Except the only thing you can't do is glue your paintbrush, which my little 12-year-old did on that one. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to use her technique. Let me cover this up again. My cap. Remember to take that plastic piece, the little wood piece off, and stick a baby wipe in it. And keep the tin, the metal. So what I'm going to do is just take this piece, and we're just going to use a little bit of the Twinks. This is really a no-brainer idea. We do for thank you cards. I just do that. I'm using someone's rag, and thank you kindly. And one time I went with my daughter. She did this, and I was working at a demo. And she's like, let me play. And I said, go ahead, you can play. And you know, I brought my cards in, and she had hers in there, and the ladies liked hers better. So, there is no thinking on this. She was 7 at the time. She's 12 now. And what she did was she just went into all these different colors, and she just had fun. There wasn't any rhyme or reason. I'm here playing, okay, well, thistle's only purple. And she's like, no, Mom, you can just mix it whatever you want. So, God bless her, because she's the one that gave, everybody's like, how'd you do that one? That one's a pretty one. I was like, oh, okay. Let me show you. All right, so your first one's your worst one, always. You get your Mr. bottle, which I put over here. You know my thing. My first one's my worst one. I'm going to do it on paper because it is my worst one. Give it a love rub. I call it a love rub. Now that's my worst one. And then from here...
Actually, I see some design possibilities with that.
Good, good. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go off more. And Jan, I won't lose this paper. I'm just making it pretty.
See?
I find that people that like to scrapbook like it nice and crisp. You can make this into a watercolor effect, but they like it crisp. They like it really crisp. So I'll do a couple here. And now you can do a whole picture from this. And when you like it, you're just going to stop and you can go. And normally I give it one more kick, but I wanted to show that how detailed it can get into. So my stamp's looking like it's almost gone, but you would be amazed. And what I'm doing is, it's like Radiant Rains that you guys are using. You're going to drop the water and let it rain on your stencil. This is watercolor, so you can you just stick it in a bucket. It doesn't hurt your stamp. Little love rub. When you find what you like, you just do like 2 spritz, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can go to town with these stamps. Or to flip this one. My paper's here.
I like the first one.
The first and second one.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, if I want to do a really watercolor, I'm just going to overspray. And like I said, I haven't inked my stamp again. I'm just using the same one. Oh, that one goes to my nice background. We'll use it on the back. I'm running out of my papers here. Let's see. We'll use this one. This is going to be a watercolory. When you use watercolor paper, that's the best to use with the Twinks if you're doing this. But see, that's more of like a watercolor, and there is nothing that you can see on my stamp. You're like, there, you might as well just go wash it right now. Well, surprisingly, there's still images that come off, but that's about the last one. And when they dry, you can't see it. It looks like there's nothing there, but when it dries, they pull up that dark, whatever the pigments, they kind of, it'll be darker. So this will actually be dry paint when you see it. It needs time to dry. So this is the basics of any of your twinkling H2Os. Now, once this dries, you can go ahead and do your silks, like do a light silk background over it. You can do the silks ahead of time. We'll give it a glaze. Kind of made a big mess here. One thing that I did do was a glaze on a stencil, and this is not done by any means. I did a bird and I mixed the gel, the high gloss gel with the silks, and you can pass that around. That's done with the glaze, and the shimmer is still in the paint. Whereas most, like you were saying, like it will take some of that shimmer out of it. That high gloss gel does not. It's from Golden. That's the one I'm using. And if you guys want to use some today, I will definitely just give you a scoop before I leave. If you're like, I definitely want to use this. The other thing about gel medium is awesome is that it adheres pieces to your collage. So the heavy gel, you can stick nuts and bolts or screws, or it acts as a sealer. It's a sealer for it. So you can put things into your collage using the gel.
So I did for the Anna Nebraska stuff.
Yeah, that's why you guys used it last time in your album.
Yeah.
It is really a cool
So
product.
how do you use this?
On the train, I will do one more with that one. So on that, and also just our little pieces here of resin, they work great with the silks too. My water's starting to get really dirty here. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of brown. Maybe a little spicy tomato or something. Blue. Yes, spicy tomato. I like a spicy tomato.
What?
So we're just going to knock that out. But this is just a little bitty resin piece. Resin, I should say. And how simple is that? Boom, boom. Is anybody doing a watercolor or something with the ocean? I'll leave you some of these little pieces, and you can just add them on in. But it makes it look really nice. And there with our ATCs, they come out with just plain ones. There's got butterflies, and if anybody's got
Oh, you guys got these in a kit before when we did the ATC kits.
Yeah.
I don't know if you still have them, but you have had them.
So let me hand that off to you for a minute. And the last thing I will leave you with is a little bit of the stencil that you wanted to see, which with the
Magic
the Magic Transparent.
Perfect Pearl Pen.
Yes. Let's see. And what we're going to do, this one I'm going to take just this and we'll do is a Snapdragon. We're going to go purple here. Why not?
Between what?
And we believe that, the more that's out there, the better. So if other products that work with our stuff, you don't always have to use our products. I mean, it's a small industry, and you need to, there's other products work really well with ours, our stuff, and other paints work great with our stencils. So it doesn't always have to be all of it, but it is nice to know that you can come to one place and get everything.
I love those colors so much.
I just love it's just so easy. That's what I like about it all. I just spray it on.
Like if you put the gel medium with the silks, that's the one you spritzed with water, right?
The one I spritz with water was the Twinks.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Your paper.
Yep. Twinkling H2Os. It's a lot of different things. You guys are all going to want a recording of that, whoever's recording. They're going to be like, send me that, because I don't know what she said. So let's try doing, that's a big one. We'll do a little bit more smaller. What do we got in there? as far as my stencils go. My box is over here. I'll grab another stencil. Is there a heart one? I have a heart one. That's really neat if I did it. We'll just do a shell. We'll do a keyboard. We'll do a little video of keyboard. This one's going to be a big one, but we'll see what he does. Now, the main thing on these are always to be careful because you got your little squeezy. This I got from, you can use a credit card even. You don't have to be fancy. It's all up to you.
Did the squeegees come with the Martha Stewart stencil?
It came with the Mod Podge, my braille.
Oh,
Is it
okay.
the braille?
Brayer?
Yeah,
Brayer.
the brayer.
Mm-hmm.
It came free in it, so.
It didn't come with my brayer.
So that's what I've been using, but you can use it. I mean, I've also not always had I love to say I'm organized, but I've also used a credit card.
I use
Go
the
with what you
pieces
have.
of the plastic, the tips from the packaging that they hang it by, you know. I noticed that even yesterday I couldn't spread my paste with the palette knife,
Oh,
but
look
I
at what
take
it's
the
doing to
piece
that
and
color.
use the plastic.
We're going to see what this does.
Hey, I cannot use palette knife. I'm done. Yeah, I cannot use palette knife.
And I'm sorry, didn't mean to go over this long.
Oh, no,
I am
please.
just-
We're soaking it up. You're doing
Now,
a great
on a
job.
bigger stencil, you kind of have to go a little bit more. There's always a gray area because, like I said, now don't go, always stay one way. But when it comes to the bigger stencils, you kind of got to go where it fills it. And that's why I'm kind of going at a couple directions. And you just have to be really gentle. So in my case, I can't drink coffee. That's my case. No coffee drinking. Okay, let's do my little tail. Don't want it.
So the point there is you want to get the entire image covered.
I do.
Okay.
And I can see like 2 little spots that I got to just get back. And everything's a learning curve. This is something I just learned last night, and I'm sharing it already. Cheryl Mazzetti told me this one, so I give her credit too. And I think I got them all. Alright. We'll see what he does. Now it's gonna pull that up and gloss it.
I love what it did to those colors.
What's that pen here?
You can't really see it on the camera, but
So the
Magic transparent.
so I guess my question is, I
And
wonder
you can
why.
keep that because that's gonna be a little different once it dries.
Okay.
No, that is just a clear glaze. That's just a clear gel over acrylic, and that will not. See how it doesn't pull it up or anything? That's a heavy gel. That's just the stuff on its own. Yep. You can gloss any of your paintings that way too. Just go ahead and put in the pieces that you like. So did I inspire? Was there something that hopefully you all learned something that was like, this is new to me?
I'm going to try it out with all the soaps we've got now.
Yes.
yes.
Feel free. If you have questions, just let me know. I'm on the blog. You can be like, I have a question on this. I can't remember what this word
And
is.
the blog name is
Luminarte blog. And my name's Tonya Watson, and my email, I'll give it before I leave, but it's citanya@comcast.net.
That's what she used on there. But my question was, why is it in this type of
It's
container
in that type
instead
because
of
it allows you to do buttons and fine lining, so you can do dots.
okay.
And then there's a cap that actually we sell, and that makes it go even smaller, that you can do it like a top of a pin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it goes small detail. And also, these are all, what went on the magic one, I'm not sure. A lot of them are for the fabric pens and the pearl pens and the paper pens. So you can, there's a variety of different types of pens.
Do you have to shake up the pearl pens?
No. No, not at all. They're always, and the glitter ones are beautiful. I like our glitter pens just because the way that, it's the way that the glitter that they put in it, it doesn't let it dry. It dries flat. Most of the ones that are out there with our competitors, it dries it as a circle, and you can't reflect light at a circle. You reflect light when it's flat, so they really pop. So.
Very nice.
All right.
Did you guys have any questions specifically on any of the items that she has in front of her real quick?
Yes, you can. Feel free. This is also with a pen you can write.
Okay.
Joanne has,
You see it?
Joanne Sharp allowed me to take that. That's one of her business cards, and she can write with our pens, and she does calligraphy, and
She's really a great